What is Agile? Why should we go for it? And what kind of attribute it has? When I ask these questions in my classes, people come up with various attributes. In this video, I am sharing those attributes and they will help us in knowing Agile. Many of us associate Agile with fast delivery. Many of us believes that Agile helps us in delivering product, customer values faster than our traditional process. This is somehow related with a fast feedback approach built into Agile. Agile tells us to do incremental and iterative development. So if I put all these four things together, it makes deliveries going to the customer faster. How? If we have to develop, say, 100 requirements, rather than developing all 100 first and then going to the end customer and showing that this is your product will look like, Agile approach this problem by developing some of the value added things first and taking those things to the end customer and collecting feedback before developing the remaining part of it. So it helps us in getting the fast feedback on our perception of the requirement, on the customer expectation of how the product look like, and if things are going in the right direction, it provides fast delivery to end customer. Because many times you don't need to wait for all the 100 features to get ready before you start using it. You can incrementally use it, and that is what the incremental development is all about. You can start consuming it, whereas the other team is developing the remaining features. Agile also focuses on doing iterative development. Many times people and participants get confused between what is this incremental and iterative and how it is different. So incremental is all about building things incrementally, delivering part of the feature and customers start using it. Whereas iterative development is all about visualizing the solution and taking customer feedback before finalizing it. So rather than making the final piece or final module, we make a first level end-to-end flow or some features, and we take customer feedback, and we expect that customer feedback will improve the existing product, existing code, and with these iterations we come up with a final product which meets the customer expectation. The iterative development is a planned rework development. When you take the product to the end customer, customer will find many issues, they will provide feedbacks, and many times people perceive it that we are doing rework. Why can't we ask all the questions once and deliver it in a one go, and why to do all these iterative things? The problem is customer is not aware what he needs. He can only tell you once he see what is emerging from the development team, what kind of product he can consume. So once he see it, then only he can provide the feedbacks. If you don't take the feedback, you may end up producing a product which may get outright rejected by the end customer. So rather than doing a big rework at the end of a product development cycle, it's better to do a rework while you are working. It's better to plan that rework because there is no option. And that is what the Agile talks about: fast delivery, iterative development, and fast feedback. And if you do all this, it results into changing requirement. So Agile is all about adapting. Agile is all about not taking the fixed path, not thinking of a fixed flow of requirement, not thinking of a fixed flow of a project plan. It's all about that, yes, I think I have to reach there. I go there, I look around and figure out what I should change in my process, in my product, in my project management planning, and in my approach to make things better, to learn from my first iteration or from my first exploration cycle so I can make the better plan for the upcoming one. And that is why Agile is all about changing requirement, adaptive planning. So in Agile environment, requirement keeps changing, and rather than we criticize the requirement changes delaying the project, we welcome them because we know that the sooner we know them, the better product we can make. The sooner we adapt to the customer need, we will be able to serve customer better. And that is where adaptive planning also facilitates. So what is adaptive planning feature or an attribute of Agile? In Agile, rather than making a long-term plans, rather than making a 5-year project management plan and baselining it and measuring all our progress against those baseline project plan and doing variance reports, we start with top-level direction for a long-term vision, and we make a granular plan for short-term durations. And as we move forward, we elaborate the upcoming plan, and it is a known concept in progressive product management where we talk about rolling wave planning. So Agile talks about, rather than making a fixed long-term plan, let's adapt in our planning and do rolling wave planning. Now this all cannot be achieved without taking stakeholders, teams in account. So Agile focuses on, the approach of Agile of working with people is, it focuses on stakeholder engagement. Now we are not using the word stakeholder management. We don't treat stakeholder as a problematic people who needs to be managed, provide some reports, and if they ask something, we need to tell them, you need to document a change request, then only we will treat it. So we don't take them as a second party, we want to make them as a part of development. We engage them by way of inviting them in software requirement workshop, design workshop, product demos. In all those avenues, we bring stakeholders along so they become part of the development process. So Agile focuses on making stakeholder a part of development. Collaborative team. In Agile, we don't believe in working in an environment where project manager does the resource management. He identifies the task, he allocates the task to the end developers and do resource leveling, resource smoothing and give you a perfect plan. No, we expect all this work to be done by the collaborative team. The team as a one unit need to deliver the business value. They need to figure out what all is needed to be done to make the development process, Agile process, work best for them. They don't have very defined boundaries in between. They are all aligned for a one goal. So Agile attribute is collaborative, self-organized, self-managed teams. And when it comes to documentation, many times people feel Agile, oh, let's get rid of a documentation. That's the first thing a one developer will say whenever we will introduce Agile. Agile does believe in face-to-face interaction and producing working softwares rather than big documentations. The problem with the documentation is the amount of time we are spending in making very comprehensive and software look like documentation. That amount we could spend in a working software, and which can help us in getting better feedback what we could get by showing documentation. So Agile focuses on do the bare minimum documentation, and rather than spending time there, product something and show it to the end customer, deliver fast, collect fast feedback, and that is how you develop things. Emergent design and internal quality. So these are the two properties I would want to talk about. Now when we talk about adaptive planning, delivering things fast and making fast feedback, what happened to the design? Many of us believes that if I have 100 feature, the design has to be made for all the 100 features. You can't start development till the time you don't have a baseline architecture for all the 100 features. In Agile, team says no to it. They take design as a regular activity. They ensure that internal quality of the product is good. The code is clean from inside, but design will emerge. They build the bare minimum design which is sufficient enough to support the current functionality. Rather than speculating the future requirements, better to make clean design which can adapt to the future requirements. So it's all about adaptability. The focus, we satisfy customer, we reduce the time to market by making team responsive, by making team flexible, by making team environment aware, by making processes which are flexible to cater the business and stakeholder need. And that is what an agility is all about. That is what the business value generation through agility is all about. In the subsequent videos, we will look at Agile Manifesto and Agile Principles, which will introduce Agile to us in a proper terms. But this was an attempt to share some of my thoughts coming from our classroom sessions where people think about what people think about Agile.